much. But whether it's no water coming from the fixture at all, or if it's water's coming out of the fixture but it's just not hot water, we're going to troubleshoot both of these the same.
Okay.
First thing to do is check another water fixture.
Right.
See if you have the same problem there.
Yeah.
If you do have the same problem there, if it's no water flowing at all, that's a plumbing problem.
Exactly.
But if water's flowing
And it's just cold.
and it's just cold, it may be a water heater. So the next step that we want to do is isolate the water heater, and that's where these isolation valves come in really handy.
Yeah.
So we just turn off the hot water out, we leave the cold water in, that way cold water's coming in, and then when we open up the pressure relief valve, or we take a hose to the service port to an appropriate place to drain it where we're not going to cause any damage, we know water's flowing through here, then the water heater, if it comes on,
Yep.
we're in good shape. It's not a problem with the water heater. There may be a cross connection somewhere.
Somewhere down the line, yeah.
Yeah, out there in the plumbing. But we know that the water heater's working. We know it's a plumbing.
Because it's hot and going in our bucket or going into our drain.
Exactly. Now, if we get flow through the water heater, but the water heater still won't come on when it's isolated,
Yeah.
that's probably going to be a flow sensor problem.
All right, I got a flow sensor over
one?
here
I'm
as
just
well.
gonna
So
show-
you'll show them where it is.
Yeah. So the flow
I've
sensor's
actually got one.
right here at the cold water inlet. So it's the first thing that the water passes through, and it comes up and it goes through there.
And it sits just like that in there. Here it is. So it's got two wiring harnesses that go to it. It looks very similar to
The bypass
our
valve.
bypass. But the bypass has a multicolor one wiring harness that goes to it. And it looks pretty much the same mold. It just doesn't have a motor, one of the motors on there. But you got two because it does two different things. We're sensing the flow and we're metering the flow as well.
Right. And I want to talk about the metering the flow after we talk about the no hot water. So we have flow through the water heater, but no hot water.
Right.
We want to take this off. There's just some clamps that snap right off.
Yeah, really
easy. Take this loose. And testing this is really easy. We're just going to blow through it. You probably can't hear that. You guys probably can't hear that, but there's an impeller in there that I can hear it spin. So that means that I can blow all the way through this. There's no obstructions. The impeller is spinning.
Right.
If that's what if that's what happens, unplug these connections from the control board, plug them back in. We may just not be getting a good connection.
Right.
Double check your wiring, put it back in there. If it still won't come on then when flows through the water heater, replace this valve.
Okay. But you could have it set up differently, right? You could have the hot and cold reversed.
You could.
Yeah, I mean, in that case, the water heater won't start, but it won't fire, but cold water will still go through it.
Yeah, so we've got a diverter in here, and I don't know if we can get a close-up of that one. Right there.
There we go. Yeah, you
so
can.
there we
There
go.
it is. You can see it right there. That's very good.
Yeah,
Good
it's
shot.
actually angled. It's hard to see that it's angled, but what that does is that puts a spin on the water flow. So if we hook up the water connections in reverse, and we have the cold water going into the hot connection and the hot water coming out of the cold connection, we'll flow water through here. There's nothing that's going to prevent it from flowing. But this diverter is only on this side, so if we
Right.
flow backwards, it doesn't spin the impeller.
Yeah, it's not going to move it at all. It's just going to do nothing, and you're just going to get cold water out of there.
And of course, that would be the first thing that I would check
Yeah.
on a brand new installation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because nobody's going to change this after the fact.
No. But it's real easy to go ahead and check this though. Like you said, you'll take it out just to make sure it's working. You blow through there. You're going to hear it spin. You're going to see it spin because you can see it if you get in the light right. You can see it spinning whenever you're blowing through it. But like you said, this actually does a couple of different things. It actually will see the flow with that impeller, but we've got a motor on here that actually meters the flow, and that's very important because if you're in a cold climate, water's really cold coming in, will slow the flow down to heat that water up. If it's not that cold there, it's going to allow more water to come through.
It does, and I like to use the example of running your hand over a candle flame.
Exactly.
So when you move your hand over a candle flame really fast, you don't get a lot of heat in
Right.
your hand. Okay, now that's great for your hand, but if we're trying to heat water up to 120 degrees, it's not that great. We need to slow it down So just like when we slow our hand down, we get more heat and it burns us. We want to slow down the water flow to get more heat in there so we can get to the right temperature.
Boiler guys know, when you're dealing with a boiler, the slower the flow, the hotter the water. It's the same thing. It's just a mini boiler that's, it's doing the same stuff. So it's going to slow that flow down in order for it to heat the water up to whatever the set point is. It's going to do whatever it has to do. Slow the flow down, speed the fan up, and allow more gas to come in there. It does whatever it has to do to get whatever set point you have there.
Now, if that's a problem, what's going to happen is that they're going to say, hey, if I open more than one fixture, I lose pressure on the hot water side.
Yeah.
And that's because they're flowing more water through the heater than the heater can put heat in to heat it up. And so this flow control valve is actually valving it off and saying, I can only heat up
Yeah,
so
like
much.
if it can only give you 8 gallons a minute, if you open up 12 gallons worth of per minute worth of shower heads, then it's only going to give you 8 gallons a minute. It's going to distribute to all of the different shower heads. No matter how many you can open up 20 gallons per minute shower heads. It's only going to give you 8 gallons a minute.
This is going to restrict you so that you get the temperature of the water that you want.